everybody, welcome to RB&D Reviews. Move over, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got competition because we are going to be reviewing the new Conan the Barbarian film starring Jason Momoa. Now, Conan the Barbarian tells the story of a small boy who lives in a barbarian tribe, and then one day this warlord comes into the village and he's looking for a missing piece for a mask that if you put all the pieces together, he can be like one of the most powerful villains like in the entire planet. The warlord ends up burning down the village, and then Conan grows up, tries to find that warlord, and get his revenge while saving a damsel in distress. Okay, Dave, let's see, you're more of a fan of the Conan Barbarian films, like with Schwarzenegger and stuff. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was going to be like a total remake of the original movie, but it wasn't. It was like a whole different story altogether. Like, first of all, it was a different villain. It wasn't Rothaman, who was from the original one, who was played by James Earl Jones and all that. Yeah, this was a total different story. I don't remember if this might have been like what happened in like the second film with Schwarzenegger, Conan the Adventurer, or if this may have been like one of the cartoon episodes. I don't quite recall, but yeah, this was totally different.
Yeah, well, with this review, personally, I haven't seen the old Schwarzenegger films in a long time, and I haven't watched them before this video. I haven't read any of the comic books, and I got a vague memory of the cartoon series, but basically, I'm going into this movie and into this review kind of blind. I mean, I looked at a lot of other reviews after I saw this movie, and they're comparing it to the other films, but I'm kind of going with this on its own thing. But yeah, I know, personally, for me, I like the beginning the best, because this is the closest, in my opinion, we get to story development, because even though it was done just okay, we get to know Conan the Barbarian as a little boy, get to know his characteristics and see why he becomes who he is. I felt it could have been done better, but this, like I said, is the closest we get to story development. I mean, after that, to me, the film just turned into a bunch of action scenes strung together with the plot and the character development kind of going out the window.
Yeah, but they stuck to the plot. I mean, you could tell what was going on. The problem was you could basically tell what was going to happen after a while. That's what I didn't care for, because yeah, I agree. I like the first half of the movie, but by the second half, I was kind of starting to get a little bit bored because I could tell what was going to happen.
Well, I mean, they have a plot, but the thing is, there's really not much in the way of story development. Now, here's my problem. This movie, the problem I had with it is the same thing I had with Paris with Love. It's like action scene, then maybe scenes where there's dialogue where they explain the exposition, and then there's action scenes, exposition, action scenes. It's like a pattern to me, and I felt like I kind of got worn out with the film. And like I said, with the dialogue scenes, all they do is they just basically tell the audience what's going on. They don't really show it. And,
yeah.
But the problem, and like I said, the action scenes was, like I said, one of the things I didn't care for. I mean, at first I was kind of interested in them because they did get me sort of involved. Like whenever people got hurt, I was like, oh wow, because of the over-the-top gore, But the thing is, after a while, all the battles kind of look the same. You may change the villains, you may change who is getting attacked around, but it's basically the same thing. People's get chopped in the back and blood spurts out, people's heads get cracked. Plus the fight scenes, they were just, to me, they looked a little bit too jerky, and they were getting me kind of a little bit dizzy. I think if the movie had less fights, maybe take out one of every other fight out, and maybe expand the dial scenes just a little bit more, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But yeah. I mean, and plus the acting for me, what about the acting? What did you think of the acting?
Pretty much altogether, it was good. I mean, it didn't seem like the actors were like being fed their lines or anything. It seemed like they were doing it naturally, and they weren't like, depending on the script too much.
The acting for me was okay. It wasn't anything great. I mean, for example, take Ron Perlman as the dad. To me, it sounded like he wasn't really into the movie. It sounded like he was kind of bland. Like, take the scene where he's telling his son, they're out fighting in the woods, and he's telling him, you know what, you're not ready. I didn't find it convincing at all. It didn't seem like a father and son talking to me. I mean, I think surprisingly, the only acting that really, really caught my attention was the Conan as a young boy. I mean, a lot of child stars, sometimes they can be annoying to me because sometimes they might be trying too hard, or maybe they just weren't, right for the part. But this kid, I could believe him. You know, he was
Yeah.
believable to me. You know, I think he gave the best acting and all that. So I think he was the best. But I mean, I personally, I didn't care too much for this movie, but I can kind of see this movie possibly being a cult film down the line because I mean,
Yeah.
there's over the top costumes, you know, where I'm like, where did all this come from? And then there's the gratuitous violence where I think a lot of it is kind of like from video games. You know, it kind of reminded me a lot of the violent video games we got now.
I mean, it was basically like the old ones anyway. I mean, that real like low grade type movie acting and all that, really bad, cheesy. You know, that's what they were trying to go for here.
I think it's just more of a time killer. Like if you're stuck at the movie theater and you got time to kill, you could watch this movie, or you got a collection of DVDs that you borrowed or rented or what have you, and you just toss them there just to kill time till you have to get somewhere. I mean, this movie to me just wasn't, you know, something for me to completely really get into. And plus, you know what this movie reminded me of? This movie reminded me of, do you remember the TV shows Hercules and Xena?
Yeah.
That's what this felt like, a TV pilot to me, because it was just, like I said, the acting wasn't really, you know, great, and they didn't do anything, in my opinion, they didn't do anything special with the lighting and the photography. It just looked like it was just shot straight out.
That's basically how the ones with Schwarzenegger were, you know, they look like TV pilots too. The acting wasn't like over the top great or anything.
Well, if you're gonna make another Conan movie, at least try to improve on the first one. If that's what really happened with the Schwarzenegger films, like they could have done more, like make the lighting a little bit more, because sometimes if you light a scene a certain way, the audience will get into the scene more and they'll feel the mood better. But here I don't think they really did that. I just felt like the director was like, okay, go ahead, we'll just shoot it like it is, and then bam, they didn't do anything special.
A little bit. The fighting was a little more over the top, and it was a little bit better looking than the old ones. I mean, it was a lot gorier than the old ones, and at least they tried not to make it too corny like the old ones were. But yeah, a lot of it looks the same.
Yeah, and
with the lighting techniques.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a mild see it in theaters because I somewhat enjoyed it.
Okay,
the action scenes look good and everything, and I thought the acting was good for the most part, and it's the kind of movie you still gotta like see on the big screen, I feel.
I disagree. I think this movie is just effective on TV. I mean, unlike something like Thor, where it's got all these there's look to it, where you gotta see it on the big screen, otherwise if you watch it on TV, it gets diminished. With this movie, I felt like that's not the case. Personally, I'm gonna give this movie a snuff it. I liked the beginning, but then afterwards I just got bored with it, and I felt like it could have been even better. I mean, if you're gonna start up a classic series, maybe try to do something a little bit different with it. Like if you say the old Schwarzenegger films were shot like flat and uninteresting. Right. Well, thank you very much for watching, and go ahead and leave your comments about the video or about the movie, whether you liked this movie kind of like what Dave did or whether you didn't like it like I did. We'd be grateful to hear your opinions. Thank you for watching.